Hey folks, and welcome to Direct Kicks Grassroots Soccer TV, and we have an exciting summer of football for you, coast to coast. We cannot wait because, we have the women playing in the Women's World Cup in Australia and New Zealand. Can't wait for that. It is going to be amazing, and we got some more women's soccer information and news coming up a little bit. But let's start the show right now with some news out of Ottawa. Jason DeVos being named the General Secretary for the Canadian Soccer Association. Good on him. Can't wait for that because, we're old buddies. We have seen his career as a lot of Canadian fans have. So let's take a look because this is the Vintage Video Vault. Let's take a look. Certainly the most experienced player on the Canadian squad down here in Trinidad. How do you feel playing for Canada once again?
Is that a nice way of saying the oldest, is it?
No. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. It's great to be back and playing. It's been a long time since the last qualifying games, and we've had a few tournaments in between time. But now this is a warm-up, getting ready for the Gold Cup, and then inevitably to go on to better things and bigger things as the World Cup qualifiers. So this is all, to get ourselves set up for that, which it's a good test for us.
Jason, I guess this is temperature out here a little better than in Scotland, right?
Yeah, it's a little bit warmer. I've been telling my wife back home it's been raining every day to make her feel a bit better. So it's definitely a change from what we're used to, but I think we'll manage okay.
How important is this game coming up against Trinidad for the Gold Cup in the future?
It's a big game for us because if we can get a good result here and a good performance, it'll set us into the Gold Cup in the right frame of mind. And it's always a good test for us to play against other countries in CONCACAF because that'll give us a gauge of where we are in terms of qualifying for the World Cup.
Will there be a pot of Gold Cup at the end of the rainbow for Canada or perhaps Trinidad and Tobago? Here's Helen with some thoughts from TNT's star midfielder.
Hey, I think I like this guy. Look at the size on this guy. So they call you the
magician.
He said it. The magician. Well, now, how important was it for you? I know it was hard getting released from your team in Scotland. How important was it for you to come represent your country?
It's always important to represent whatever country you were born in, and I was happy because there have been a bit of conflict in the past. And I'm happy that they're finally coming together and sitting down to work things out so that overseas-based players can continue to represent Trinidad and Tobago.
How important are matches in the preparation for the Gold Cup?
It's important, but for the coaches to work on their tactics and see different players. But there's a lot of players still, and there's a lot of work to do. But as an individual, some of the things that I saw today, I'm quite pleased, and if we can continue in that direction, then I'm sure that we can do well.
All right, now that was just taken just before the Gold Cup in 2000, so what a great prep in Trinidad, and we cannot wait to see what Jason does as Canadian soccer moves forward. And speaking of moving forward, Project 8. Unbelievable, the story of how the Canadian women's program here in Canada helped develop with Diana Matheson as the CEO, Project 8, and of course, that is the first ever Canadian Women's Pro League here. And the announcement, of course, is that AFC Toronto City is going to be the third franchise in this. It's amazing. We cannot wait to talk to Diana about that and all the other people in Toronto that are involved. Wow, this is going to be a crazy good summer, and we cannot wait to introduce you to our guest today because, we have Alphonso Davies, we have Christine Sinclair, but we also have another superstar in the Canadian para soccer team. He is also the captain of the team, and he is Samuel Charron. Welcome to the show, Samuel. I'm honored to have you on, a two-time MVP. Tell us a little bit about your team as you get prepped for the Para Pan Am Games. It's pretty cool.
Thank you. I'm just happy to be here, really, and talk about the team. So as we prep for our competition in November, we just had a training camp last week, and we're getting these little ID camps around Toronto, and we're getting some in BC as well, because that's what kind of where the players are more concentrated. So that's where we can get most bang for our buck, really. And so getting these ID camps, getting those new players out, getting the old players in as well. Like, we don't know how long we haven't seen each other. It's been months, so it was good to see the guys and hopefully get a few more ID camps. And in August, we're supposed to get our training camp. Big ones going. As closer we get to competitions, the more training camps we get, the bigger they get, and hopefully get ready for those pair Pan Ams and beat some teams.
There you go. The one thing, we had our cameras, of course, out to Oakville when you were training with your coach Drew Ferguson, and the skill level, I love it. I really love it. We captured a lot of really good drills that you guys were doing. The one touch was really nice. Your keepers were just amazing. Tell us a little bit about. I know you said that it's been a while since you've been together. Tell us a little about your team, because they seem like they got some quality guys. And how did it feel to get kicking the ball around with the guys?
Oh, it just felt great, really. Some of the guys, some of them are in the GTA, some of them are 2 hours away, some of them are in Waterloo. I'm not that, I don't know the GTA geographic really, but we're all kind of all around, and I'm the only one in Ottawa, unfortunately. So it's a bit of a trek for me, but for the guys, like I would be willing to just go anywhere really. And the love and support we get from each other, because we have different disabilities. It's different for everyone, but we all come to that common area where we all fit in this team, and we live off the experiences that we've had. Like that, I'm 25. I've been on this team for 10, 11 years now, and some guys are just starting. Some guys I've seen for a long time, and some guys that are older than me as well. Right? They bring different experiences, how they been through life, through their disabilities, and how I've been through it. And I think the more we talk about it, the more we discuss things, it's better for us personally, because we're able to have these conversations and educate more people, and then it just helps us. It brings us together, really.
Yeah, no kidding. Now tell me a little bit about, you've been on the team for about 10 or 11 years, but your love of soccer, it's a lot longer than 11 years. So just so we call guys like you lifers, right? You fell in love at an early age. Tell us a little bit about how you did that and how you got involved while watching your buddies play.
So basically, started at the age of 4. Grassroots. You're just playing soccer with your friends. As the years went by, I think U9 started competitively. Started playing. Just really fell in love with the game, as you said. Just something I looked forward to doing every weekend, and then it became during the week training practices, and then it got even more serious. And I remember it was maybe 2009, 2010 when the para team came to Ottawa, and they were training out of the facilities that I was training at. My local club that's where they came, and my technical director at the time, he knew I had disability. He knew I had cerebral palsy, so he said, "Hey, Drew, I got a player for you here. He's kind of young, but he's not bad. Why don't you have a look at him?" And my TD said, "Yeah, come out. They're training at this time. Come out, have some fun, kick about, learn a bit." And yeah, I trained, went well, I didn't think it went well, because it took maybe a year before Drew sent me an email, and then he just told me, "Yeah, no, we liked you. It's just you were a bit too young at the time." So I was like, okay, phew, at least, like, it's not because I was bad. It's because I was too young. And it was a training camp in Penticton. It was my first one, and then I've been to pretty much every training camp, every competition ever since.
Well, yeah, and you've also been very successful individually. So let's talk about that. That's a 2-time MVP. Tell us a little bit about that incredible honor.
Yeah, it's incredible, because those awards are given by the other teams. It's not some one person that chooses out of every player. It's every team has a vote, every coach has a vote. So it means so much more that players and coaches from those aspects, that the same teams you're playing against, they're able to recognize the level that you play at and the level that you're willing to work for your team. And yeah, just the first one in 2019, I was in the stands. I was watching the final because everybody wanted to watch the final. Big two teams playing, and someone from the tournament organization comes up to me in the stands and says, "Are you Sam?" I'm like, "Yes, I'm Sam." And then he's like, "Come with me." I didn't even know what it was about. He just told me
Uh-oh.
to come with him. So I was like, "Okay." I'm going downstairs. I'm waiting, and then one of the another organizer that I know from past tournaments, he comes up to me and says, "Yeah, you've been chosen for MVP. It will be announced after the game, after the medal ceremony." And then I was just there in my plain street clothes because I didn't even know that I was getting there, and took a picture on the field, said thank
Nice.
you, and that was it really. And then just the one that just passed in May. It was kind of the same thing. I was in the stands again, watching the final. I had a bit maybe thoughts because it was whispered around here and there, but I wasn't quite sure. I was sure there's other teams, other players that deserve the award as well. And then again, they tell me before the game, just when there's 10, 15 minutes left, come downstairs and we'll get you ready, get you prepped. So
Wow.
it's for sure an experience that like I'll never forget. And like I told at last week, I would trade those individual awards for team awards any day, because at the end of the day, you can't really play without your teammates, and I couldn't have gotten those awards without my teammates. So if I could trade those for a trophy that we could all have, or a medal that we could all have, I would in a heartbeat.
Well, I'm telling you, the footage that we saw from your training was amazing. Like I said, the goals that we were able to get, as well as the saves, some of your keepers were amazing too. So we can't wait to continue to showcase what you guys are doing as you recruit coast to coast. It's a tough thing though to recruit for your sport. I know that it's funny because when I went through the interviews with Drew, your coach Drew Ferguson, I really like you. You don't know this, but I got really emotional about it because, like you were saying, that you didn't weren't allowed to be part of the team really because you're too young, and that kind of makes sense. Well, I was too old. You see, I played soccer all my life too, and I didn't play at your level. But when I was in my car accident, it wasn't until I listened to Drew's interview that I realized, wow, if I was in a little bit better shape, like with my legs, I might have been on that. I might have been able to at least come out to your team, because I've never actually, like, I walk with crutches, right, and I can walk without them for a little bit, but it just was really emotional for me because I never thought that I ever had a chance to ever play soccer again, but it's more because my hip got really screwed up, right? So it's a little different. The disability is a little bit different, but I'm really proud of what you guys can do and how you go out there and train and we, like I said, we really look forward to showcasing what you guys do as you get to the Para Pan Am Games. So let's talk a little bit about that because this is the prep for the big tournament in November. It's down in South America, isn't it?
It is in Chile.
It's in Chile, all right.
Yeah.
So tell us about that. It's just around the corner, really. So there's not a lot of time. Tell the folks watching what you're doing individually, because I know that you're not able to train with the team a lot. So what are you doing personally to keep in shape and getting prepped for the big tourney?
Yeah, so personally, I think since November, I've been training with a program for 3 to 4 times a week, just getting touches on the ball, kind of in the morning, doing sessions, touches, playing games. So I think that's what's kind of lacking here. Maybe it's just an Ottawa thing. Maybe it's the whole nationwide. But during the winter, there's not for men's programs. There's not really you're not really training. You're not really touching the ball unless you're playing just a league on a specific day during the week. You're not really touching a ball. You're not really doing training sessions. So I think for me, I owed it to myself to take that program uh, and train, really. Just get touches on the ball, because we all know, like, going to the gym, getting ready, like that's one sort of fitness, but soccer, you need a whole other fitness. You need that touches on the ball fitness. You need that running around, because you're running a lot. And I think that's what made me, I feel like I'm in kind of the shape I was when I was going into playing university soccer, because I had the program. Now I have a program here. I'm still doing the trainings 3 to 4 times a week. Men's programs are starting back on, so that's good, because it's carried me over to that. So I'm getting even more training, more games. I have a game tonight, so it's nice to get those things kind of a gradual yearly thing, instead of just, okay, summer's over, don't do anything for 3 to 4 months, and then get back into it once the fields are open. So it was nice to get those sessions in, play, and really just kick a ball around. Really, it's that
Right.
simple.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Here's what we're going to. So the one thing that we talked about a little bit off camera was the frustration it is for every Canadian soccer player at your level that isn't getting the support that is really required to get to the team to get to that level. Because if you're only training a certain amount of times, it's like you're the national team. You need help, and you need sponsorship, and you need support. And we put out a video yesterday, and we decided we're going to, because direct kicks is kind of like, if you can see Corny Dalglish in the corner there, we don't really take the sport as seriously as some others. So we have been baiting Ryan Reynolds to get on the show because there's a connection here, right? So I was making the ridiculous connection of AFC Wimbledon, because they're in Division 2, and I own AFC Wimbledon. I'm one of about 40,000 owners, but I'm claiming that I'm an owner just like he is. So I'm trying to get him on the show, and now I realize the connection is actually goes around because you're from Ottawa.
Yeah.
So let's get Ryan on board to help the para soccer team. That's the way I'm looking at it. So what we'll do is we'll continue to talk, and I will continue to debate that man to get on our show, and we're gonna get some people talking about the Canadian para soccer team, because you guys are amazing athletes, and it's a great story, and the fact that that you played at Saint FX, right? That was your, like, okay. So just so you know, that when I read that, I just like melted, because my two sisters are graduates. My dad went there. So we're big. My sister played. Yeah, my sister played. She's in the Hall of Fame for Saint FX. So she played. I'm just, I hate to say this because I don't know, but somewhere in late 80s. But she played for 3 or 4 years on the team, so that's really cool. I just wanted to throw that out there. But you tell me about your experiences at Saint FX.
Just great experience, really, because I started my university at Ottawa U, because I was like, okay, I didn't really get any offers, so I'm just going to stay at home. And then Ottawa U, the issue, they don't have a varsity team, so I didn't play that year. I didn't play like a university season, so I just focused on my studies. And then basically I was like, okay, well, I miss soccer. Like, I don't know what to do. Like, I haven't been touching the ball. I haven't been doing this. So my coach at the time for my club team during the summer, he also went to St. FX 10 years ago, and it was still the same coach. So I asked him just point blank, kind of as a joke, really, to start, like, could you maybe put in a word with the coach, see if I could go there? And he said, show me you're serious, and I'll put in a word. So that week I applied to transfer. All my credits transferred, and that summer I was looking for a place in Antigonish to stay, and
Nice.
the coach was on board, and then I did the training camp, and the coach liked me, so I stayed there. And I think it was one of the best decisions of my life, because I was able to, the people you meet and the connections you make through those environments, because you're literally with them 7 days a week for 3-4 months at a time. So
Right.
you're gonna have to get to know each other, right?
Right.
And the bonds you make throughout, like I still talk to them. Like I went to Halifax maybe 2 weeks ago, and
Nice.
I met up with maybe 5 or 6 guys that I played with throughout the years, and we just went out, talked a bit, caught up, and I even stayed at one of their
Nice.
places to kind of save a little bit of money. So it was nice to get those see those guys again, because they were such a big part of my life for 3 years, 3 4 years, right? So that experience allowed me to kind of grow as a person as well, and
For
that's what
sure.
I want to bring to like the national team or any team I'm on, is getting that experience, getting that camaraderie, and like that's what we're lacking with the less support, right? Is when we get more support, it's people like you, for example. You just found out about this, right? Imagine if we had the support back then,
Right.
like
Right.
how much more people would be like, oh my god, I'm actually qualified for this, but now I'm
For
either
sure.
too old, or I kind of just, they didn't have anything to strive for. And I
Right.
think if we get this like ball rolling here, we can get more people, and the joy of playing sports, the joy of soccer, example, like all the emotions I get through that. Like
For
even
sure.
if you lose, like you're still like happy that you played, you're happy that you're doing it, and even if you have a bad loss, guess what? You have a game next week, so you have a chance to like go again. So I think, again, if we get like that support that we're talking about, right? It's getting those people involved, and even if you can't play for the team, maybe you can support in other ways. Maybe you can do other things like you're doing right now. So I think that's the important part, is it doesn't stop at playing, and when
Right.
you're done, it doesn't stop there. Like you have other things that you can do. You can coach, you can do shows like this, you can do all the other things that you can do to support teams like this.
Well, speaking of, I mean, okay, before we get into your coaching, I did want to ask you, you mentioned that you're playing tonight. Tell me a little bit about your team that you're playing on.
So it's the team I coach with. They have a men's team, and it's just a preseason game, because our season starts maybe in 2 weeks. So it's just a preseason game. A team wanted to play us. We have the team. We wanted to get that game in. The coach wanted to get that game in. So it's good. It's going to be cold because it's at 10
Yeah.
p.m. So
Oh,
well, a little bit of a late game, but who doesn't like soccer under the lights, right?
yeah, really. That's cool. That's awesome. So, and then we're going to just jump right on to because we mentioned earlier that you're a lifer. So tell,
Yeah.
so tell us about how coaching, how you've started to coach, and the importance of that for your career.
I think really it's just about teaching the next generation, really, of like things that, my growing up coaching wise was different than theirs. So I think having the adaptability to coach them in both ways, and coach them things that I've learned throughout my playing career. And the thing is my playing career is not over, so I'm still learning, so I can still bring new things uh, to those players, right, at a young age. And the younger they know certain things, the better, because then they just grow exponentially when they get older, because they already know these things. So I think even like the new leagues, like we didn't have OPDL. Like for me, back when I was playing youth soccer, right, it was OISL. So just having that little support of, okay, OPDL, you have to have like a video camera for every game. Like it brings out more of people that are watching those games. And you're telling me these guys are 15, even the youngest goes to 13, right? I'm coaching U13, U14
Nice.
girls. So I'd
Great.
like imagine just from that, if we had that, if guys 10 years ago had that, right? The amount
Right.
of growth the sport would have been already. So I
Right.
think now we're seeing it. We're seeing the fruits of the labor of getting
For sure.
those videos around and those videos out, because you see more Canadian players are playing abroad. We're doing better. We qualified for a World Cup. The women's have been qualifying for World Cups for ages. So I think you see how Canada soccer is played, maybe it's not to the standards of Europe. Maybe it's not like those little tiki-taka stuff, but we have our own identity, and I think we have to use that to our advantage.
Well, how exciting is it for you to see the Canadian national team at this level? Now, let's talk the men's first, and then we can talk about the women's too. But in the men's, I've said this for the last couple of years that I really think that, and I'm not saying that we're the greatest team out there, but I'm telling you, I've always said we are the fastest growing team, and we're the most exciting young team. May not be the best. We make mistakes, but boy, are we an exciting team to watch. How is it for you as a player to watch our team at that level?
Well, it's just an amazing experience, really, because imagine if I saw this when I was 13, 14, like, man, I would be like, oh my God, I want to play in the World Cup. I want to do this. I want to do that. So seeing this now, I can appreciate it because, like, I'm older. I know, like, okay, like I can appreciate these moments. And I was there, I think the game against Jamaica when they qualified for the World Cup, like the final nail that they needed to win that game. And I was freezing my butt off because it was in April,
Yeah.
like it was in April or something like that. And it was cold, but like, that's what I'm pretty sure we sold out that stadium just because we wanted to be there. We wanted to see our team do that. So the support is there. It's just getting people to know about it, really. And Canada's gonna rally around their teams. You just know it. You know, you see it in hockey, you see it in every sport, even the women's
Sure.
teams everywhere. Like, you see it. Once that maple leaf is on your shirt, there's people that are gonna come watch. There's people that are gonna support you, even if they don't know you, even if they don't know you the sport. They'll just be like, oh, Canada's playing, why don't we go watch it? It must be high level. Right? So it's just those things that are there, and we're seeing it now with soccer, the new women's league that's being introduced.
Yeah.
Like, the leagues are there, the stuff is coming. So it's just, maybe it's 10 years too late because, like, I missed it, but you know, it's good to see it now, to be like, okay, like, we're finally here. Because I remember, like, I think just 10 years ago, really, like, getting that idea, like, okay, university is the end for
Right.
Canadian players. Like, you go to university or you take a chance and you risk it in Europe.
Right.
But then you technically, like, literally leave everything in Canada and go to Europe and take a chance. But now there's pathways for those. There's pathways for leagues. You don't necessarily have to go to Europe to still play semi-pro, still play professional. So I think that's great, and that certain players are getting that recognition everywhere around the world is even better.
Yeah. So if you were going to describe your style of play, how would you describe your style? Because I've seen your touch. You got a nice touch on the ball. Tell us, like, I mean, who do you mimic your style after, or is it just your own?
I know you probably, because the videos you've seen, but I'm just pretty much an old-fashioned center back, really. I love a tackle. I'll get down and dirty for it. All I'm doing, get a ball, and if I pass it to my midfield, I've done my job, really. I'm just that simple. Go up for corners, win headers.
Yeah.
I'm just that simple, because I think not that we're a dying breed, but now that, like, it's starting, like, you have to move around, you have to do all these things nowadays. I think, like, getting that just old-fashioned vocal center back there, I think that's my style, really.
Really? Well, yeah, I mean, I'll just tell you this much, that I'm so old, they called soccer cave ball back in the day when I played. But, you know, I was actually a midfielder, and I really enjoyed playing the game. It was just, I mean, it was a lot of fun, but I didn't play at your level. I played at, I guess, the level that I would have played at. I was given a tryout at McMaster University, and I didn't even bother going because I didn't think I'd make the team. But I played at about that level, but I never got any coaching, and that's part of the problem. I was from Belleville, and it was a hockey-dominated location, and I only played 1 year of actual organized soccer until I got to high school. And so we just played high school to get in shape for basketball, because basically our real sport, or a big sport at the time. So it's different now. Belleville's got a full association with a ton of grassroots. In fact, the men's league here that I played in a couple years, it has one of the oldest soccer trophies in Canada. It's called the Merchants Cup, and I went for the Merchants Cup 2 years in a row when I was like 19 and 20 years old, and it's a famous cup here in the Quinte area. But yeah, I mean, there's lots to talk about, buddy, because like I said, we're going to be chatting with you a lot because you guys have tryouts for your team coming up in, I believe, in the end of May. We're going to put that information up for people to participate if they can, and any information, we'll have a crawl on the show throughout for anybody that needs more information. And of course in August too, as you guys get prepped. So I'd like to make this quite a few times. I'd like to get you involved in this show because we really need you guys to get support from sponsors out there and more people watching, because you guys got some great skill and you got a big tournament coming up, and you have to get you need promotion, and we're here to do that for you. So I just want to wrap up the show by thanking you for coming on. We can't wait to get more involved with you and Drew and the entire team. And every week, even if you're not as a guest on the show, we're going to promote the hell out of what you guys are doing so that people will get on board and get you guys to be is recognizable. Your face should be as recognizable as any soccer player in Canada, and that's what we're going to try to do, because you're the face of the team, and I know the team is a team, and I know how you guys are like that, and I really respect that. The way that you're so humble, the way you've won all these awards, and yet you are a team guy, and that's cool. So best of luck on tonight's game. Kick some butt.
Thank you.
And do your best. I mean, I won't say cleats up. I just won't.
No.
But I'll also say, for crying Reynolds out there, stop the crying, Ryan, and get on the show and support para soccer in Canada. We're going to get them on board.
Thank you.
What do you think? Hey, no problem. Thanks very much, buddy, for being on board. I really appreciate it. And thanks very much, Sam. Sorry for cutting you off really quick there. Jeez, that was a kind of odd. Sorry about that. So we'll talk very soon with Sam Charron, two-time MVP. And we cannot wait, as we've said, to continue supporting the Canada para soccer team as they get prepped for Para Pan Am Games in Chile in November. So that's it for this week's Vintage Video Vault. We'll see you next time on Direct Kicks. And make sure that you support, you like, subscribe, and comment on our great guest, Sam Charron, the two-time MVP. See you next time.